our history, we know, can be traced as early as 1629, when the first charter was granted for the region that we all know as the Carolinas. Then later in 1663, King Charles II is now out of exile, and he grants another charter for the exact same region. He gives it to some men, 8 of them, that were very loyal to him during the time that he was in exile. But it wasn't until 1669 that he was able to get enough people to want to come into this new region. And what we're looking at here is a map of the peninsula of Charleston. As you can see, we sit between 2 rivers, the Cooper River and the Ashley River. And just visualize, as your settlers got here started out, they arrived somewhere like about the end of March, 1st of April in 1670. They would have sailed right on around the Cooper River, the Battery, and settled up on the banks of the Ashley River. They reached there about 1670. Now, among your first settlers that came in from England, there were many people that just wanted to leave England. They came here for religious freedoms, and many of them came as, not many, but several came as indentured servants. And it's important to also note that one of the first enslaved Africans came also in 1670. So as they landed on the banks of the Ashley River, we had many, many, many different people, a very diverse group. And it's very important also because Charleston's African-American history, very little of it is documented. So we know 1670, the first enslaved African came to Charleston. Now, as we approach the Cooper River and you come around Charleston, the ports are very much on the Cooper River side of the river. And it's important to note that from the very beginning, Charleston's economic success was based upon our port and the ability for our import-export. That was our economic engine initially. Today, our ports are still very much the economic engine for Charleston, including tourism, which tourism is our #1 industry. Where we are today is we're into a old railroad station, and Charleston's, the first railroad for the state of South Carolina was founded by William Aiken. And this is part of our history here. That is, that this is in the 1800s. When this was a railroad depot, this would have been a bustling area with a lot of wagon trade and railroad country. The city of Charleston restored this and is now one of the state-of-the-art visitor center, and many of our visitors come through the visitor center here. It also has a couple of exhibits that are indicative of some of the sights and all that you're going to see around Charleston, and that I'm going to point out to you. Of course, you can see the basket weavers there, which is one of the crafts that was brought over from your Africans from West Africa. One of the many crafts that your enslaved Africans performed would have been the craft of iron working. And this work here is done by Philip Simmons, who is a renowned, we call him our living legend. Philip Simmons started this very early on at the age of 13. He was born on Daniel Island. And the concept here is that it's done by hand, and that is only with an anvil, the forge, and is hammered out. And of course, African-American history not being documented, only in the recent, like in the 80s, when the Smithsonian discovered him still creating work in the same manner, and they invited him to come and to design a gate. Now he basically designs gates, but he's still alive. He's our living legend, but you'll find his work throughout the city of Charleston. Today, perhaps maybe as many as 700 of the pieces of work that's been done by Philip Simmons have been identified, and you'll see them throughout the city. So now it's very valuable. Everybody wants a piece of Philip Simmons' work. This is a structure that's very, very prominent throughout the city of Charleston. This is known as what is known as the Charleston Single House. And the single house is a single house because it's a single room wide, 1 room, and 2 single rooms deep. The porches, or the piazzas, as sometimes we refer to them as, are always going to be facing west or south, and that's to keep the summer breezes, or to get the summer breezes. Just remember that when these houses were built, that we had no air conditioning. This door is not really, it's a false door. It's not the real door. That's really done just for privacy. And this is the porch. So your center door is going to always be the main door is going to be in the center of the porch. And that's the main entrance. And some houses will have a little, the blue ceiling on the porch, which there's a legend about that. It's truly a legend, and that is that's called Hank Blue. That's to keep the evil spirits from going inside the house. It's the most beautiful city, the most historical city, and of course, it's just a pleasant atmosphere here that keeps you here, wants you to come. And they have a saying that if you drink the water, either you stay or you come back, and believe me, that's true. Either way it is. But Charleston's a wonderful city. The people are great. It's just a great place to live, and you have to kind of like feel it, So once you've been here, it's self-explanatory.